What's up, everybody? Josh from Red Short Trades here. It's been a really interesting week over the course of the past week since the election happened. Trump's now president-elect. We're already seeing things move across the country. And the stock market responded really favorably. Interesting, there was a swing trade I had on Tesla that I bought at a high level, and I was just watching it lazily go down. And then in one night after the election, we had a $25 move overnight. And so that contract ended up squeezing to roughly 900%. So really good week with respect to that. But then also just taking some rougher trades, trying to refine my trading. I wanted to review 3 trades with you, 2 winners, one that I took today, one I took yesterday, and then one that didn't go as well yesterday, and just uncover a little bit and discuss a little bit about what I'm seeing and what I'm continuing to learn with the strategy that I'm looking for. So with that, we will jump right in. All right. So as most of you know, I trade the break and retest strategy. And one of the things I've been doing to try and refine which stocks I ultimately pick in order to trade on a given day is typically the top watches that I'll look for are ones that are breaking the prior day high or prior day low, or ones that are breaking through overnight. They're gapping up across any major key levels that I had marked out from the prior days and the prior weeks, prior months, to be able to understand when larger time frame structure breaks are happening. So my process, again, in the morning, every morning, I take a look at marking out prior day high, prior day low on the main tickers that I'm looking at, seeing what potentially is going to have some volatility and momentum to be able to isolate a few stocks to look at. Now, I usually have a chart that's going to show me 4 stocks, so that way I can keep a tab on multiple things. But the minute I start seeing a specific one that I want to focus on, I'll usually reduce the screens down to 2, usually the Qs and whatever that stock is. And the primary reason for that is so I don't get distracted with every shiny object that potentially looks like it could be a good opportunity. And so I want to really isolate my focus. It's something I've been working on. Now, today was a great example of that. If we go into the Qs chart, and I'm just going to go back here, we'll talk about my winner first. What did I see? Now, what I saw was some movement overnight. Now, this was a tricky trade because there wasn't tons of volume on the Qs in order to grab at this. If you look at this high level here and you have this prior day high here, this matched the NQ daily. So if you look at the NQ chart, the NQ chart was pushing up on this 21,250 level. And so it was a really sharp move up. And if you look at how this is mapping out, we had this prior high here at this 21,450, and this shot straight down. So this is a level I wanted to be really careful of on the chart here for the NASDAQ futures. And sure enough, what you started to see was a little bit of rejection. So we saw that mirror that with the Qs. As we opened up this morning, we saw this movement down. So I was curious about what was going to happen. We saw this lazy dance kind of happening here. Now, what I was looking for primarily in this was the 5-minute opening break and retest, and I'm adding in order blocks as a component of what I'm looking for. So order blocks, effectively, the way I draw these order blocks, I'll usually, if it's a large candle, I look for the last up close candle in a downtrend if things are breaking to the downtrend, or I look for the last down close candle in an uptrend. In this case, we were moving to the downside. So once we broke this 5-minute low, I mark out I really used a wick. I'll do a different video on order blocks at some point, but used a wick of that first candle that signified kind of the last uptrend candle before the downtrend kind of commenced, draw it out from the wick. And this effectively is a demand zone. And how this is impacting my trades now is I'm not just looking for a rejection of a specific line, I'm looking for a zone rejection. And that's effectively what we got here. Started moving to the downtrend, we created these lower lows here. And then we created a lower high here. We didn't break above the 5-minute open. And then we pushed even further down. This was the kind of displacement I was getting. This was an interesting opportunity, but it was just dancing around the 5-minute low. We didn't actually break and get some displacement to be able to move back to the retest. This one we did. And what I ended up jumping in, I jumped in first on this candle here, and I set my stop loss to the break of the demand zone. So if I had broken out and closed above the stop loss, I would have been out of the trade. And we started to push and move down, and it was moving in the direction. And then we pushed back up and did not stop out. And then I saw this candle forming, and the contracts had dipped about 10%. And so as this candle was forming and we started pushing down, seeing sellers step in, I bought in some more contracts here. and we saw it dance down. One last pull back into the zone before a big, beautiful push down. We actually hit the pre-market low at this 511 level and blew right through it. So we took some profits at the 1 to 2, which is marked by this line. Took some profits there, took half off there, took off another 25% down here at the 511 mark. And then I waited ultimately down here. I left one trailer, and that trailer ended up zeroing out. It started dancing and pulling back. But as you could see in hindsight, when I look at the 4-hour chart here, really what we're building here, effectively what I'm seeing is I'm seeing this bear flag ultimately occur. So I wouldn't be shocked if we break this bear flag in the next day and push up higher. So that's something I'll be looking at. This was clearly a pullback, a quick intraday downside move. So that was the first move that I took. Now again, what I was looking for, a break and retest of the opening range break, the 5-minute. We got that retest. We had this flag get put in as it was continuing to dance and get ready to squeeze either up or down. And we ended up squeezing down for this bear flag, pushed it down all the way to this prior day low. And then we ended up holding the prior day low. And I had one contract that ended up getting me out over here as we broke structure on this level here. So the minute we broke structure on this candle close here at 10:33, that was when I ultimately got out of the contract. So found a plan, stuck to the plan, traded the plan, really nice $500 profit there. And then yesterday on the Qs, we had another similar situation. We were in the middle of our prior day levels. So if you look back to the prior day levels, we had the high here, we had the low down here. And what I was effectively looking for here was, again, the same thing, break and retest. Big surprise. Opening candle. Now this one, I wasn't looking for any particular confluence with respect to the order block. The order block was really big. Effectively, the order block was about this. And that's too big of an order block for me to have any kind of confidence. I'm looking for really tight order blocks so my stops can be really tight. So effectively, if I actually played the order block, it would have been I would have drawn it on the wick of this first candle, in which I would have gotten stopped out. And I actually did get stopped out of this trade because what you saw, you had this opening 5-minute range. We broke out, good displacement. Came back in, I saw buyers start to step in on this candle, so I hopped in the trade, and then we danced up, pushed down, and then pushed further down, and we ended up breaking on this candle, having to stop out of the trade. So this was a loser of a trade that we had. Now, in hindsight, had I pushed for an entire, like a large order block and waited for a fuller dip into the order block, this could have pushed up. But the reality is that this candle showed strength as it dipped in and passed the level, and then we saw a buyer step in. So this easily could have, and it started to go in the other direction. But in hindsight, I might have paid a little bit more attention to the size of the body of this candle. I heard it said once that the wicks do the damage, but the bodies tell the story. The fact that the wick was smaller than the body of the candle should potentially have been an indication for me. Realistically, what I should have been looking for in order to have even more confidence in this is really something like this guy here, because this guy here it's a smaller hammer candle. It's showing some buyer strength, and there's not a large move against the momentum with the body of the candle being red. So that was a trade I took yesterday. The first one, it was a loser trade, but then I had a really nice NVIDIA trade yesterday. NVIDIA showed some fantastic momentum in the morning. We saw this indecision in the first few minutes, and then we pulled back to the level, pushed up really strongly. And so what I was looking for, again, my opening range break and retest. And so there was my opening candle. I waited for the pullback. This is beautiful displacement, exactly what we want. Very strong momentum candles. And then we saw some momentum candles back. We broke back below, which didn't present the opportunity. Now, again, I wasn't looking for a particular order block in here, though the order block, if we were to draw it, I'd probably draw something like that. And it didn't give me strong price action within the order block. It pushed right back down into the level and the prior day level. And so then I was just a waiting pattern. And what I ended up seeing, which made me take the trade, waited for it. It reclaimed this 5-minute level, displacement again, pulled back in, and I saw these wick rejections. And what I ended up hopping in on as this candle started to form, I was able to hop in and capture this move. And so I put my stop actually a break below the breakout candle of the level, and I was targeting a high of day at that point, which helped me capture this move. We ended up holding trailers. There was a prior day level that I had here from the prior day high that I ended up using as my ultimate take profit. And there was a level even prior to that was a secondary profit target. I ended up taking some off here. We had a little pullback here, but then we pushed up higher and ended up capturing this all the way up to our prior day level or prior day high. And what this ultimately allowed me to do was go green on the day. So even though we had a bad QQQ trade, waited for the right setup, didn't FOMO, not like on Monday. Monday, I had a little bit of FOMO, and then that ended up poorly because I had a red day on Monday. But yesterday, 2 trades, kept it simple, waited for the setup. First one didn't work out, second one worked out. Let the odds play in the favor of what I was ultimately looking for, and that ultimately worked out. So there you have it. 3 trades, 1 loser, 2 winners over the past 2 days. Simple break and retest strategy. I'm starting to incorporate order blocks a bit more and seeing some good success with it. The biggest thing that I'm actually pretty proud of myself is I'm sticking to my plan, whether it's good or bad, whether it wins or loses. I'm waiting for my plan to work out, not exiting any portion of my contract size until I hit my take profit and I get a candle hit that take profit, or my candle closes below my stop loss. All part of the strategy, all part of the probabilities. I'm starting to see some momentum build, especially as the market has been gaining momentum post-election. So with that, I hope that was helpful. If you found some value in it, definitely hit that like button and give that subscribe button a nice pound so I can continue to share my trades with you and what I'm continuing to learn as we continue to learn how to be profitable, consistently profitable when it comes to this trading game. Until next time, team, I will talk to you soon.